Hello everyone, good evening, welcome back. So, today I'm here with a new topic that's your carbs chemistry or chemistry of carbohydrates. Okay, so in this session, we'll be learning about the structure, function, or biomedical importance of your carbohydrates and their classification. Okay, so let us see with its instruction. The carbohydrates are widely distributed both in our animal and plant tissues, and chemically they are made up of simple elements like your carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. And as they contain many of the hydrated carbons, hence they are named as carbohydrate. And the empirical formula of many simple carbohydrate is CnH2O into N. Okay, and these are the sources of your carbohydrates, that your fruits, potatoes, uh, cereals, and your rice, pulses, milk are the very good sources of your carbohydrates. And this is the brief simple introduction of your carbohydrates. And coming to their biomedical importance, as they are the major dietary components and they will meet around 60 to 70% of our energy requirement. And the 1 gram of carbohydrate will give us 4 kilocalories, and they are the chief energy sources for all organisms. And these carbohydrates are used to synthesize many of the compounds like your fats, amino acids, and they are also the important constituents of glycoproteins and proteoglycans in cells. And on cell surface molecules, they act as receptors or ligands. Okay. And coming to the energy storage forms, the glycogen is the storage form of carbohydrate in animals, and in plants the starch is the storage form, and the glycogen which is stored in our liver and muscles. Coming to the structural components, as the carbohydrates are acting as a structural component in both plants and animals, and the outer covering of our cell membrane which is called as glycocalyx. So it is a part of our structure of our cell membrane in combination with our lipids and the proteins or your glycoproteins. And they're also forming a structural framework of our RNA and DNA, that is your ribose and deoxyribose, which are the pentose sugars. Okay, and the dietary fibers like your cellulose and hemicellulose are the structural components of our plants, and they have very important nutritional value in humans even. And the precursors, the glucose is the precursor of all the carbohydrates and even for some amino acids and fats in the body. So the excess consumption of carbohydrate leads to conversion of that into fat. So excess carbohydrate will be converted to fat. So better let us reduce the consumption of carbohydrate. Okay. So coming to the definition. So these are defined as polyhydroxyaldehydes or ketones, or the compounds which produce them on hydrolysis, that is the aldehyde and ketones. Okay, so that's how on hydrolysis the carbohydrate will give us aldehyde and keto compounds. So that's how they are defined as polyhydroxyaldehydes or ketones. Okay, and these are usually referred as saccharides because the Greek word saccharon, which stands for sugar, which means sugar. So that's how all the carbohydrates will be having minimum taste of sweet. I mean, the sweet taste. That's how they are named as saccharides. And as I said, they are composed or they are made up of the carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen atoms in the proportions represented by the formula, that is CnH2O into N, where the N stands for the whole number. And the example molecular formula for the glucose is C6H12O6, where the carbon 6 and the hydrogen ions 12 and the oxygen atoms are 6. So this is about the definition and its molecular formula. And coming to the classification, the carbohydrates are broadly classified into 4 major classes, that is based on their number of sugar units they contain. So I have the first one is the monosaccharide, which means single sugar unit, and disaccharides, the di stands for 2, so 2 sugar units. Oligosaccharide, which stands for oligo stands for few, so few, that is up to 10. And polysaccharides, poly stands for many, so that's how it is more than 10 sugar units. So this is the broad classification of your carbohydrates. Coming to the monosaccharides, these are also called as simple sugars, and they are the monomers, that is the basic building blocks of our higher carbohydrates, and they cannot be further hydrolyzed into any more simple sugars. And these are further classified, the first one based on their number of carbon atoms they contain, and the second one the functional unit. So it starts with the 3 carbons, so that is triose, tetrose 4 carbon, pentose 5 carbon, hexose, etc. So that's how, based on the number of carbon atoms, they are divided. And based on the functional unit, we have aldehyde as a functional unit in aldose sugars, and the keto group in the keto sugars. So if the compound contains aldehyde group, then they are called as aldoses. Example is your glucose. If the carbohydrate contain keto group, so then they are called as ketoses. So example is ketohexose, that is your fructose. Okay. So this is the tabular column which is showing the molecular formula and the monosaccharide with its example both aldose and keto sugars. So triose, which is having a molecular formula C3H6O3, where the carbons are 3 numbers, and the aldo triose is your glyceraldehyde, and keto triose is dihydroxyacetone, and tetrose is C4H8O4, where the aldo tetrose is your erythrose and keto tetrose is your erythrulose. That's how for pentose we have ribose and ribulose. For hexose we have C6H12O6 is the molecular formula. The examples are glucose for aldose, and whereas ketose for fructose for ketose. And heptose we have H14 and O7. So glucoheptose and pseudoheptoses are the aldose and ketoses. Okay, so the same thing, this tabular column again showing the same monosaccharide classification with the numbers and their examples and their functional group. Okay, so coming to their structures, here I have the structures of different types of monosaccharides. I have trioses, tetroses, pentoses, and in the next slide I have hexoses even. So here they are named as trioses because they contain 3 carbons here, 1 2 3, and this is a aldotriose and this is a ketotriose because this contains keto group and here it contains aldehyde group. So that's how this is the aldotriose and this is the keto triose, that is dihydroxyacetone. This is dihydroxyacetone and this is glyceraldehyde. And tetroses, yes, erythrose and erythrulose, which contain 4 carbon compounds. Okay, and 4 carbon atoms. And coming to the pentoses, where we have 5 carbons here and aldehyde group here and keto group here. So ribose is the aldopentose, whereas ribulose is the keto pentose. So coming to the hexoses, here you can see these all 3 are the aldohexoses, that's your glucose, mannose and galactose, or the aldohexoses, whereas D-fructose is the ketohexose. So here you can see there is the aldehyde group, and this is the keto group. Here you can see those 3, the glucose, mannose and galactose, are having a aldehyde group and 6 carbon atoms. Okay, and here the fructose, which is having keto group. So these are the hexoses, structures of your hexoses. And coming to their physiological importance. Okay, so I have this tabular column which is showing the sugar, type of sugar and its sources and its biomedical or biochemical importance, and their clinical significance. Coming to the first one, glucose. The sources are your fruit juice, hydrolysis of your starch, cane sugar, beet sugar, maltose, or the lactose. So it is the main metabolic fuel in our tissues, in all the cells, and this is termed as blood sugar. And in case of diabetes mellitus, that is poorly controlled diabetes mellitus, this will be excreted in urine, and that is called as glycosuria. And when the levels are high in the blood, then it is the condition called hypoglycemia. Okay, coming to the fructose. The fruit juices, honey, hydrolysis of cane or beet sugar, and inulin are the sources of your fructose. And the isomerization of glucose syrups for food manufacture will be the sources of your uh, fructose. And it is readily metabolized either via glucose or directly. And hereditary fructose intolerance is the clinical significance, where the fructose will be accumulated and there will be hypoglycemia. And coming to the galactose, this is from your lactose. Hydrolyzing this lactose will get you glucose and galactose, and it is again readily metabolized to glucose, and it is synthesized in the mammary gland for synthesis of lactose in milk, and it is a constituent of both the glycoproteins and your glycolipids. And hereditary galactosemia is the condition where the galactose will not be metabolized in our body, so the accumulation of this galactose leads to cataract. And coming to mannose, it is the hydrolysis of plant mannan gums, and it's also a constituent of your glycoproteins. And this is the physiological importance of all these four hexoses. Coming to the physiologic importance of your pentoses, here the D-ribose, which is the sources or your nucleic acids and the metabolic intermediate of your pathways, HMP pathway, and the structural component of your nucleic acids and coenzymes, including your ATP, NADP, okay, NAD. And coming to the ribulose, it's also a metabolic intermediate, that is the intermediate in the pentose phosphate pathway. And the arabinose, that is from your plant gums, so it's a constituent of glycoprotein. So ribulose is a metabolic intermediate, and xylulose is also a metabolic intermediate. And the xylose, the plant gums proteoglycans, and in the glycosaminoglycans you can see the xylose, and it's again the constant of your glycoproteins. Xylulose, as I said, it is a metabolic intermediate, and this will be excreted in urine in case of essential pentosuria. So this is about the physiologic importance of your pentoses. Okay, coming to the disaccharides. So disaccharide means which is having a two molecules of sugar units, but either it may be same or different sugar units. So the general formula is CnH2ON minus 1 is the general formula for all the disaccharides, and these on a hydrolysis will produce two molecules of different or same sugar units or the same monosaccharides. So here we have three main disaccharides: maltose, sucrose, and the lactose. So maltose, that is made up of two glucose and glucose molecules, I mean to say two glucose molecules, and the sucrose is made up of one glucose plus one fructose unit, whereas lactose is made up of one glucose and the galactose unit. And based on their reducing capacity, they are named as, we have two types of disaccharides. One is reducing disaccharide and the other one is non-reducing disaccharide. Examples for reducing disaccharides are your lactose and maltose, and whereas non-reducing disaccharide is your sucrose. So here the tabular column which is showing the type of your disaccharide and on hydrolysis what it will give or what it will produce, that's your what type of monosaccharide it will give, and what is the glycosidic linkage in between those two monosaccharides, and what are the sources. Okay, so maltose, it on hydrolysis it will give up two molecules of glucose. The linkage between two molecules of glucose is alpha 1,4 glycosidic linkage, and the sources are your malt. And lactose, it will give galactose, one unit of galactose and one glucose. So the linkage is beta 1,4 glycosidic linkage. Milk is the source of your lactose. Whereas sucrose, it is one molecule of glucose plus one molecule of fructose, and the linkage between these two is beta 1,2 glycosidic linkage. So the source is here sugarcane or table sugar. And isomaltose, that is made up of two glucose molecules with the linkage alpha 1,6. So that is the end product of your amylopectin. Digestion of your amylopectin will give us isomaltose. So here the difference between maltose and isomaltose is the linkage. Both are made up of same two molecules of glucose, but in maltose we have alpha 1,4 glycosidic linkage, whereas in isomaltose which is having a alpha 1,6 glycosidic linkage. So this is about the important disaccharides. So here I have a structures of your disaccharides. So here you can see the sucrose, which is having a one sugar unit, one glucose unit and one fructose unit with the 1,2 glycosidic linkage, whereas the lactose, which is having one galactose here and one glucose with the beta 1,4 glycosidic linkage. And here I have the maltose, which is having a 1,4 glycosidic linkage. So this is about the structures of your disaccharides. Okay, and coming to the physiologic importance of your disaccharides, the sucrose, the sucrose, the sources of your sucrose are cane sugar or beet sugar, sorghum, and the some fruits and vegetables. And here the clinical significance of sucrose is the rare genetic lack of sucrase, which leads to sucrose intolerance, and there will be a diarrhea and flatulence in the patient. And lactose, the only source is your milk, and many pharmaceutical preparations as a filler will give us lactose. And lack of lactase or alactasia, which leads to lactose intolerance, that is patient or the person cannot digest the lactose or hydrolyze the lactose, that leads to the diarrhea and flatulence. And this lactose can also be excreted in urine in pregnancy. And coming to the maltose, that is by enzymatic hydrolysis of your starch or the amylase part. And the other sources are germinating cereals are the sources of your maltose. So this is about the brief importance of your disaccharides. Coming to the oligosaccharides, so here, as I said, they are made up of few sugar units. So here it starts with the 3 sugar units, that is trisaccharide, tetrasaccharide, pentasaccharide, etc. So here I have trisaccharide, example raffinose, which is made up of one molecule of fructose, one molecule of galactose plus one molecule of glucose. So raffinose is the example for the trisaccharides. And coming to the tetrasaccharide, example is stachyose, where it is made up of two molecules of galactose and one molecule of glucose and one molecule of fructose. And the pentasaccharide, the example is verbascose, which is made up of three molecule of galactose, one molecule of glucose and one molecule of fructose. Okay, and these oligosaccharides are your blood group antigens, and the cell membrane oligosaccharides are usually found as your glycoproteins or glycolipids. So next is our polysaccharides. So let us discuss this polysaccharides in the next session. So by now I'm finishing this. So thanks for watching. Thank you. Have a good day.